Okay, one more game in this 10-game or this 10-day schedule we have, and it was great Saturday. It was a great night Saturday night, and we really enjoyed it. It was great having the '89 team back here with us. I think it was a great scene in the locker room afterwards with so many of them there and their families. But yesterday we just moved down, and we understand what's in front of us right now. Illinois is, with the exception probably of Wisconsin, Illinois is playing as good as anybody in the league with 3 straight wins, 2 of them on the road. So we had to go in there and really play well. So I think we're trying to conserve our rest here and still be prepared. So we'll have a good workout today of 90 minutes, and then we'll get in the plane and get down there and see what we can do tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
John? Does how well they're playing make for an easier and quicker refocus on the next one?
Yeah, I think when you play teams and you're at this time of the year, keeping people focused is hard, no matter what is at odds. And the fact that they have just won 3 in a row and is a big. You don't want them to be playing at their best, obviously, but they are. And you go in there and you have to go out and beat a good team. Who was, like I said, the impressive win at Michigan State, the impressive win at Minnesota. They've both been very, very good at home. And then their home win, I'm forgetting who it was against, but they played well.
Brandon?
You know, in terms of when you look at season accomplishments, things like that, and you haven't gone to a Final Four, and what is just the difference? I mean, how can you kind of quantify what a potential outright Big Ten championship means in the big picture of, for you personally as a coach, and the difference maybe that it has to other accomplishments or achievements?
It's pretty significant, I believe. I've been coaching a long time, and I have to think for a long time how many times you just win it outright, win the regular season championship. You also, in this league, it's valued so much more than others. So it is a high priority for us right now to just go in and beat Illinois. I mean, let the other stuff take care of itself. You win a championship, but just beat Illinois. That's the only focus we can have right now, because if we can do that, that'll be a great accomplishment.
What does Illinois do particularly well on the defensive end of the court? I think they've held their last 4 opponents under 50 points.
That's a good question. They're creating turnovers, and that's been a big thing. Michigan State's a really good passing team. They have a great plan. They're hard to guard. And they got into some passing lanes, got into some guys' areas with the ball, deflected the ball. 16 turnovers where they get 24 or 25 points off turnovers. I think that it was the same type of situation at Minnesota. They got points off turnovers. So that's where they're creating a lot of their offense.
You said it's hard to get focus at this time of year, but you've done a job of that. It seems like whether it's, we don't have Mitch, we're not talking about Mitch, everything right down the line. What goes into that to get a team to really hone in on what you want them to?
I don't think it's an overnight process. I think that we started the whole year looking at, all right, this is it. This when you start in October. This is going to be a day-to-day thing, and we're just going to, dream big but focus small, and just take each day and just make the most of it. And if you have that as a habit, I think that it can get you through the month of March, which should be a lot of fun. I mean, you've worked hard. You've sacrificed so much, you've dedicated so much the team has. There's no let up in sight because you put so much into this. Why would you ever not focus right now?
Mark?
John, did you guys purposely subdue the celebration the other day as a result, knowing that was not that the outright was still possible and stuff? Because obviously a couple of years ago you guys were crazy.
Well, and I think it was the last game and there was no other recourse. I don't know if it was anything on purpose other than I think while we value any type of championship, with 2 games left, I don't think anybody even thought about celebrating yet. I think we wanted to celebrate once it was clinched for good, or outright.
Another thing is about the road. You guys had the best road record here in 20 years in conference play. Is there any theme that you found through that?
One of them has been luck. I mean, the Nebraska game and the Purdue game were just great fortune. because we've been unlucky in some games in the last couple of years, and it sort of measures itself out. I can't, like I said, I've always defended our road record as being pretty good, that if you win half of them or near half of them, you had a pretty good year. And so this year, just the balls bounced our way in a couple of those to flip to what could be maybe at this time a 4-4 record into a 6-2 record.
Joe?
Coach, you talked about Illinois forcing turnovers, and you referenced sort of your team turning the ball over a couple times on the fast break against Minnesota. I know you always have a focus on avoiding turnovers, but has that been any sort of extra emphasis on that?
Yeah, I mean, it was all about we were in a hurry on the fast break, and we didn't space ourselves very well. We congested things. And that has to do with guys running all the way in the corner. It has with people, the big man running. We just got things congested, and we tried to predetermine what we were going to do. They're not getting as many turnovers. They're getting in your half-court offense. They're running through passing lanes. They also have a great shot blocker, the second best in the league besides Hammonds. And they're really good at getting in the gap snatching. Just when you're dribbling the ball down the alleys, they'll get their hands on things. I think one of the bigger things is the change in personnel. They've got 2 freshmen in there that are really playing well. They're getting their hands on the basketball. There's a lot of energy, a lot of quickness. And then Rice is getting 3 steals a game in the last 5 games. And that's unheard of. 3 steals a game is like Rajon Rondo type of category when he was at Kentucky. So I believe that's what he was getting. But it's a terrific number to get.
John talked about focus earlier and those types of things, but you're as 29 games, 30 games in, each team is different. What is the one thing about this team that's kind of kept them together? You guys really haven't fallen. You had one bad, really blow-up loss against Iowa, but other than that, no real off-the-rail moments. You guys have been able to come through some things, overcome some things. What's
I think a lot, with the exception of Mitch's injury, there hasn't been a lot of distractions, and that says to on the court, off the court type of things. We haven't had big blow-ups in practice. They just have really stayed together and united through the whole thing. So I think that's kept us so that we're coaching basketball, we're coaching life, but there's not a drama. There's not a lot of drama in the program. It's just people are doing what they're asked and they do it really well.
Why is that? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's just you get good kids and you got a great staff behind me that just. We're trying to reinforce this whole idea that we can do this, but it's teamwork, and when everybody gives themselves to the team, I think you have a better chance of doing that.
Anybody else?
With the outright championship obviously still in play, is it easier than maybe it would be otherwise to keep these guys focused, especially with kids on spring break, all their friends not having classes and obligations?
It's good. Spring break couldn't have hit at a better time for us as far as that our kids don't have classes this week. But it is. I don't know that. I think they've been pretty focused no matter what. I mean, last week was a rough week, and we with the exception of those first 10 minutes against Purdue, we were pretty focused all week after a great game against Michigan State. So we're young, but I think we're pretty mature in what it takes to win, and I think that's really important. If we have a maturity above our years, maybe, in what's really important to win.
Is that something you've seen often through the years, or is that something that's been pretty
The winning, you see in the winning teams, you see that they just get it, that they're not they don't get too high, they don't get too low, they just sort of play, and I think that while we try to, and I'm not the greatest at it, we try to treasure every successful moment and do as much as we can. At the same time, we don't like losing, and I think that we're all on board with doing whatever we can to get better through any adversity.
Right.
With the Big Ten this year, and everyone talking about how many bids certain leagues get, things like that. In terms of your time at Michigan, where does the league overall kind of fall in terms of difficulty in general this year?
I think because of the parity, because we got all these teams. I mean, we could have a bunch of teams with 6 wins at the bottom of the league. And I think that's what separates this league right now, that it is, unfortunately, could keep some teams from getting in because they're just, those 2 wins that you get against somebody that's really rebuilding, their team is just bad, you don't have that. I mean, you add a couple of wins to a couple of teams right now, and they got 10 or 11 wins in a really good league. So I think that's the parity is one thing, but when you have teams that were undefeated outside the conference, like did Ohio State lose outside the conference? I don't think they did either. Wisconsin, and then they get in the conference and they have 5 to 6 to 7 losses. It just tells you this is. I would say that it's the best it's been. I would say it's top to bottom. I think that we've had maybe better teams at the top, you know, that were really experienced. I think of that Purdue team, that Hummel and Etwan Moore and Johnson, they were really good teams. Michigan State, the year they went to the Final Four, was a really good team. And there's some other good ones, I'm sure. But I think collectively, the 12 of them, there's no one that is really down right now. That makes a difference. No bottom finish.